There is a senior in your league right now throwing the ball as hard as he possibly can, muscling every single shot, and getting almost no hook to show for it. His arm is tired by the 7th frame, his corner pins are still standing at the end of the night, and every week somebody at the counter tells him the same useless thing. Throw it harder, snap your wrist, get more revs. So he tries, and it gets worse. Here is the truth nobody at the pro shop will tell a 65-year-old bowler. Hook does not come from strength. It never did. The players who hook it the most are not the strongest people in the building. They are the most relaxed people in the building. Effortless hook is a real thing. It is learnable at any age, and it has almost nothing to do with how hard you throw. Today, the mechanics of it, step by step, the drills that build each one, and the one habit that is quietly killing your hook every time you step on the approach. Stick around. The third step is the one that changes everything. Quick favor before the mechanics. Subscribe if you want the honest coaching your pro shop will not give you, and drop your rev rate in the comments. It tells me exactly which of these steps you need most. That is the deal. Back to it. Here is the one idea that explains everything that follows. Hook is not force. Hook is revolutions. How many times the ball rotates on its way down the lane before it reaches the pins. And revolutions do not come from your arm muscles. They come from your hand staying under and behind the ball a fraction of a second longer at the moment of release, letting the fingers roll up the side of the ball instead of throwing it forward. A relaxed hand rolls the ball. A tense hand throws the ball. When a senior grips it tight and tries to force spin, the fingers come out early, the ball comes off flat, and all of that effort turns into speed with no rotation. A hard, straight, deflecting shot that skids through the breakpoint and leaves the 10-pin every single time. You do not need a stronger arm. You need a later, softer release. And there is a second piece worth understanding because it takes the mystery out of the whole thing. A ball that rolls end over end, like a car tire, does not hook. It just goes straight and hits soft. A ball that rotates on a tilted axis, so that it is spinning slightly sideways as it rolls, digs into the friction and turns. That sideways tilt is not something you force with muscle. It is simply what happens when your hand stays behind the ball and comes off the side of it late instead of over the top of it early. So everything that follows is really one idea from 3 angles. Keep the hand behind the ball longer and let physics do the hooking for you. That is the whole game, and it is entirely learnable. Now, the fix. Step 1, and this is the foundation everything else sits on. Loosen your grip. This sounds far too simple to matter, and it is the single biggest hook killer in senior bowling. Most seniors, especially anyone fighting stiff knuckles or a sore thumb, squeeze the ball for security, because the last thing you want is it slipping off early into the back of somebody's ankle. But a tight grip locks your wrist and forces your fingers out of the ball early before they can impart any roll at all. Here is the drill. Next time you practice, hold the ball like you are holding a small bird, firm enough that it cannot get away, loose enough that you would never hurt it. On the swing, let the weight of the ball hang in your fingers, not crushed into your palm. Throw 5 shots thinking about nothing but grip pressure, and I mean nothing else. A looser hand lets the fingers stay in the ball a beat longer through the bottom of the swing, and that beat is where every revolution is born. The trade-off, honestly, for the first 2 or 3 games this will feel unsafe, like the ball is about to drop off your hand at the line. It will not. That fear is exactly the tension that has been quietly costing you hook for years. Step 2. Let the swing do the work, not your shoulder. Watch a senior with no hook, and you will almost always see the same thing. A short, muscled, pushed swing, all arm and shoulder, trying to manufacture power through force. Now watch a player who hooks it effortlessly, and the arm looks almost asleep. It is a free swing. He sets the ball in motion, and then gravity and the length of his arm do the work, like the pendulum on a grandfather clock that swings for hours off one small push. Your job is not to power the swing. Your job is to get out of its way and keep it straight and connected to your feet. A relaxed, full, unforced swing arrives at the bottom with natural speed, and far more importantly, with your hand in a position to roll instead of grab. The drill for this one is almost embarrassing. Set the ball into your swing and then let go of the tension in your shoulder completely, like you are dropping a suitcase you have carried too far. Let it fall and swing itself. Here is the honest limit. A longer, freer swing takes timing to sync with your footwork, and for the first few frames it will feel slow and strange. But slow is not the problem you think it is. Slow and connected outscores fast and muscled on a house shot every single night of the week. Step 3 is the one I promised would change everything, and it is the secret the effortless hookers know in their body but can never quite put into words. Stay behind the ball. At the bottom of the swing, as the ball passes your ankle, your hand should be behind it and slightly underneath, palm facing the pins, not the ceiling, and never already rolled over to the side. From there, you do nothing violent at all. You simply let the ball come off your fingers as your hand naturally rotates from behind the ball toward the side of it, the way a doorknob turns a few degrees. That gentle, unforced rotation is the entire move. It is not a snap. It is not a flick of the wrist. A wrist snap is what people do when nobody ever taught them this, and it is inconsistent. It is impossible to repeat under pressure, and it is genuinely hard on an aging wrist and elbow. Staying behind the ball and letting the hand turn is repeatable. It is gentle on the joint, and it produces 4 times the revolutions of a wrist snap with a fraction of the work. The drill: have a friend film one shot on a phone from directly behind you, down the lane. Freeze it at the bottom of your swing. You will see instantly whether your hand is behind the ball where it belongs, or already turned over on top of it, dumping the ball out early. One video is worth a season of guessing. This one is the hardest of the 3 to feel the first time, and it is also the one that separates a 14-mile-an-hour senior who strikes from one who leaves flat corners all night. A friend of mine, 69 years old, had bowled for 40 years with a wrist snap and a 150 average, and his elbow ached every Wednesday morning after league. We filmed one shot from behind. His hand was already turned over on top of the ball a full foot before it reached the line. He was dumping every ounce of the roll early and calling it a release. 2 weeks of doing nothing but staying behind the ball, hand quiet, and he was carrying the 10-pin for the first time in a decade. Same speed, less effort. The elbow stopped aching because he stopped forcing it. That is the whole thing in one person. Now, the one habit that undoes all 3 and almost every struggling senior in the building does it without knowing: speeding up to force the ball to hook. It feels completely logical. No hook, so throw it harder, right? It is exactly backward, and it is worth understanding why. More ball speed gives the ball less time to rotate and read the friction on the lane, so it skids further down the lane and hooks less, not more, which makes you throw harder still, which skids it even further, and now you are trapped in the loop that quietly ends bowling careers. If your hook is weak, the answer is almost never more speed. It is more revolutions at the same speed, or very often the same revolutions at slightly less speed. Effortless hook and hard throwing are not on the same road. They are opposites. Every senior who finally understands this says some version of the same sentence. I cannot believe how hard I was working to score worse than I do now, barely trying. And here's the part almost nobody tells a senior. You can build every bit of this at home, with no lane and no ball. Stand in a doorway, let your bowling arm hang straight down, and swing it gently back and forth like a pendulum, completely relaxed, feeling the weight at the bottom. That is step 2, for free, in your kitchen. Then hold a coffee mug by the handle, let your hand drop behind it, and slowly turn it a few degrees like a doorknob. That is the release in step 3, and you can do it in a chair watching television. The bowlers who improve fastest after 60 are not the ones with the most lane time. They are the ones who grooved the feeling 100 times at home, so their body already knew it before they ever let a ball go. Muscle memory does not care whether there is a lane in front of you. One thing before we wrap it up, because it comes up in the comments on every single one of these videos. Fine, the mechanics make sense. But which ball actually rewards a slower, more relaxed release? And which one fights it and punishes you for having low revs? That exact question got asked so many times, worded 100 different ways, that it finally got answered in writing. Ball speed, rev rate, weight, cover stock, category by category, matched to the way seniors actually throw the ball. Not to 400 RPM like every chart at the counter. It is sitting in the description. It does not replace 20 minutes with a good ball driller, and it does not pretend to. It is a starting point, written down once, by somebody who was already annoyed enough to do it properly. So let me pull all of it together. Effortless hook is not a gift that some people were born with and you happen to miss. It is three things and only three things: a loose grip, a free swing, and a hand that stays behind the ball and turns gently through release instead of snapping at it. None of it requires strength, and every piece of it works better as your grip gets softer, not harder, as you get older, not younger. The industry sold seniors the idea that lost hook is just age, and that the only fix is a more aggressive ball or a harder throw. It was never true. The players who still hook it into their 70s are not stronger than you, and they never were. They simply stopped fighting the ball and let it do what a bowling ball wants to do. So tell me two things down in the comments. What is your average right now? And which of these three steps do you already know in your gut is your weak one? Work that one first. See you in 3 days.